If you watch my second YouTube channel or follow me on Instagram, then you guys probably have a very good idea of the kind of treatment I receive in my relationship. All of the romance, dates, princess treatment, you name it, you guys have all seen it in my vlogs. But what a lot of people don't know is it took me a hot minute to get there, and it took me about 1001 mistakes before I knew what to look for in the right man and in the right healthy relationship. Me and my partner have been together for 2 years. We are also living together right now. And so I wanted to make this video, which is a part 2 to a video you guys loved on my channel called 15 Dating Rules That Changed My Life. This time I want to run through 10 dating mistakes I made so that now you don't have to. When compiling this list and planning out this video, I made sure not to include any generic mistakes that you guys probably already know about and have heard a million times before. No, these are literally extracted from my exact dating experiences with things I used to think would be good to do in a dating scenario, but instead landed me in a very, very bad situation. Make sure to check out all of my links in the description below, where you guys can check out my Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, my second YouTube channel, where you guys can actually see the dates me and my boyfriend go on, as well as the link to pre-order my book that's available worldwide on Amazon right now. And it is an entire self-love guide that I promise you will change your life. And finally, a big thank you to my favorite social media platform, YouTube, for sponsoring this video. I love you guys. Dating mistake number 1, trying to make a good impression. Because there should be no trying involved at all. And there should definitely be no concern or thought of other people's perception of you, most importantly trying to influence the perception and impression they are about to have of you. Because it's giving that you're the chaser, that you're putting them on the pedestal, that they have all of the power in this situation. When we concern ourselves with trying to make a good impression, it's showing that we are unaware of our value and that we're trying to prove ourselves to somebody else, to a man. Okay, I don't believe in any of this try to make a good impression BS, because you being yourself is already the good impression. You are already bringing all of your amazing energy, your aura, your personality, your humor. There should be no trying involved. On top of that, this whole notion of good impression just confuses me, because what does that even mean? You don't know how certain things are going to come across to another person. You don't know what topics of conversations they're going to like. You don't know if they are going to like your preferences and your dislikes and if you're going to match. You could be doing everything right and still manage to make a bad impression because you don't know that person yet. And so really what trying to make a good impression leads to is mirroring people and being a people pleaser. And let me tell you from personal experience, trying to be the easygoing, super cool girl or girlfriend, mirroring everything he does, agreeing with the things he says, even though you're not sure of them, is a one-way street to end up with the wrong guy. The sooner you get the idea of trying to make a good impression out of your head, and in fact you free yourself with the reassurance that if I make a bad impression, that's perfect, because then it's clearer to me than ever that this person was never right for me. If me being myself isn't enough and I have to try to woo you, then you are simply not my person. And in that way, you actually save yourself a lot of time and hassle so that you don't commit any more of your precious time, effort, and energy to trying to date somebody who was never going to be for you in the first place. Dating mistake number 2 was dating other people before I dated myself. My life changed when I became my own boyfriend, because I was taking care of myself, my life, my values, my mindset, and my confidence as a result. But way before, when I was making the mistake of dating other people before I even got to know myself, I wasn't actually being my real self when I met them, because I hadn't learned about myself yet. I had barely met the real version of myself because I hadn't learned how to be in a relationship with myself. And if you're not being yourself when you're out there dating, you are bound to get involved with the wrong people, because these people will match the face or the mask that you are putting on because you haven't discovered your true authenticity yet. Plus, if it's your lifestyle that's all over the place and a bit of a mess, you are much less likely to find the right person, let me tell you. Because I was in a phase of my life where I was really lost and I was hurting and I just wasn't the highest version of myself, so I was out partying constantly. And as a result, in my dating life, I was then attracting people that matched that version of me, the party girl, which, I mean, guys, look at me now. It's not really me. And that meant while we were dating and I was finally growing and evolving into this version of myself, which is my authenticity and the person I was always supposed to be, it meant that that person was no longer a match for me, and our dating situation or our relationship fizzled out very, very fast. If I had been on my journey of self-love and self-discovery from the very beginning, then the caliber of people I was dating would have been much more aligned, and it would have been way more likely to work out long term. Dating mistake number 3 was trying to take it slow. Yes, I said that right. I know it's a universal rule to people that when you're dating, you should take it slow, but I heavily disagree. In terms of being physical or putting labels on it, then sure, take it slow. However, when it comes to conversations, getting real about your feelings, I say put your cards on the table as fast as you can. I hate that it's always assumed that you're gonna freak someone out too fast if you start talking about serious things or the future or where you want things to go. But if you don't say it at the beginning, how are you gonna know otherwise? You're just gonna stay quiet in the beginning because you're people pleasing, you're trying to be easygoing, cool, and not scare them off, and then you're gonna hope for the best and then eventually have to settle because you didn't speak up in the beginning and now you're too deep into it to demand anything else. Like, no thanks. I used to make this mistake all the time of taking things slow and letting the guy lead. And all that meant was that I kept getting myself into the same situation, which was I didn't know where we stood, what their values were, or if we were actually compatible. Because majority of the time, the guys are always going to try and skip out on the serious feelings and label conversation. Especially if you're dating a low value man and you don't even know it, the way to catch them out and to save your own time is to have those conversations in the beginning. Otherwise, they are going to string you along and get you into a situation that matches their preferences and waste your time at the same time. Eventually, I finally learned my lesson and I stood on business. I had no shame in asking every single question under the sun that I wanted the answer to, because you are too scared to answer what are your preferences when it comes to dating? How long do you think a talking stage should last? You are simply not the person for me. All that tells me is that you're literally just in this to play games, have some fun and keep it casual, and that right there does not align with my values. So actually, even if you're asking these questions and they're not answering it, it's all in how they respond verbally, physically, emotionally. All of the cues they're giving you shows you what type of person they are. And when I finally got to this version of myself that was asking all these questions so brazenly and openly, I honestly think that's the reason that me and my boyfriend worked, because he was the first guy who matched my energy so much. We used to see like tweets on Twitter of debates of like who should do this in this situation, or when a guy and girl is dating, like what's right or wrong. And these tweets would blow up and go viral because people would have such different answers. And the reason these tweets go viral is because they are questions that always go unanswered. We would screenshot them, send them to each other, and then actually understand how each other's minds worked, and therefore if we were going to be compatible in a relationship. The fourth dating mistake I made was looking at facts over my own intuition. There were quite a few times where I dated guys and they were perfectly nice, they were being a gentleman on the date, they were romantic, they were respectful, like tick tick tick, green flags, but I would come home from the date and I just feel kind of weird. Like I had this gut feeling and I was like, I literally can't fault you in any way. Like you were great, but there is something here that is just not right, and I literally don't feel like talking to you anymore or going on another date. And then the people pleaser in me and looking at facts instead of paying attention to my own feelings had me thinking, well, they didn't do anything wrong and you don't have any reason to cut them off, so you should just keep talking to them until you actually find real evidence to support this feeling. And I'll just give you guys a quick story time of one time I made this mistake where I actually gave the guy another chance, went on another date, a second date with him, came home, felt so weird about the entire situation, went to my friends and they were like, well, he didn't do anything wrong, so just give him a chance. Maybe you're nervous, maybe you're this, maybe you're that. And I've noticed those weren't just my friends that were responding like that. Friends universally will tell you that. If you say, I've met a great guy and he did this and he ticks all my boxes, but I don't know how I feel about it, the very common response you are going to get back from your parents, your siblings, your friends, society is, oh, well, just give him another chance. I heavily disagree. Sometimes your body, your soul, your mind knows before you do. And in my story of doing this, I ended up going on another date because everyone encouraged me to do so because there was nothing really wrong that he did. And then afterwards, I ended up getting a DM from a girl saying that she had been in a relationship with this man for months and he was cheating on her with me. My body literally knew that. There was nothing wrong this guy did to me. He was treating me great. And I was like, oh my God, my intuition was literally right. And I have never looked back since. And of course, not every dating situation is going to be that extreme, but sometimes it can truly be down to like, pay attention to who you're naturally more shy around. Pay attention to the dates where you feel like you can't be your authentic self for whatever reason. Even if you don't have real evidence or they haven't done anything physically wrong, sometimes energy senses energy. And if you feel like you're not aligned and you're not naturally inclined to open up and be your biggest, most authentic self, run. Because you will save yourself a lot of time in the long run, I promise you. There is a reason that the most common phrase people say once they've met their soulmate is, when you know, you just know. And if your body is saying, I don't know and I don't like this, please listen to it. At the end of the day, this other person is a stranger. Okay, why are we doing favors and making excuses for people we literally don't know over the body and the mind that we have lived in our entire lives? Trust me, sometimes it knows. Dating mistake number 5 was making another person my purpose instead of finding my own fulfillment. I definitely used to be that girl that put dating and guys first. And as a result, whenever I was dating someone or in a relationship, I used to obsess over so many little things, and I used to notice things that were literally none of my business. Reply times, if he really liked me, constantly doubting things. And as a result, because I was that person, that massively affected my energy, therefore massively affected how I was able to show up in the relationship, what kind of girlfriend I was, and honestly massively affected my dating life in a very negative way. Even before you get into a relationship and you're just dating, if your number one priority is, I just want someone to like me, I want someone to love me, I want to be in a relationship, why is everyone in a relationship and I'm not? That literally radiates off you. People can sense that. The kind of people that are going to take advantage of your love, your light, your attention are going to grab at you when they know that you would do anything just to be in a relationship and just to get attention. Whereas when you know I'm good on my own and I would never settle for a relationship that even goes a step below my standards, all of these people that would love to play games with you and waste your time wouldn't even take a second look at you because they know they wouldn't be able to get away with anything. I think one thing that a lot of people forget about is that it's so important to be able to pour some of your emotional energy into your passion projects, into your hobbies, into what you're interested in, rather than directing all of the emotional energy that you contain into one person, because your feelings are bound to get hurt. When you are in a relationship, yes, you are building a life together, but you are also just two individuals building your own lives, going towards your own dreams, your own goals, while supporting each other in your own separate journeys. And so while that person is over there living their own life and you're not, because all of your emotions are kind of dependent and on them, it's literally a recipe for disaster. And my YouTube channel is literally such a great example of this. I didn't know I wanted to be a YouTuber. I just knew I loved the platform. I loved video creation, and editing has been my passion since I was 10 years old. So when I was a university student and I was dating and I was doing all these things, but I didn't know who I was, I knew this is what I enjoy. YouTube, I have always loved. Let me just pour some time, effort, and energy into that and see where it gets me. It started off as a small little baby channel, but it fulfilled me so much and gave me a sense of purpose and allowed me to create my own happiness every single day, rather than waiting for another person to give me some of their happiness, rather than relying on somebody else's actions to determine how I was going to feel about myself and my life that day. But as I continued to pour in more and more time and work into my YouTube channel, it eventually grew into where we are now, 1 million subscribers. But most importantly, my community grew. We fostered such a beautiful, engaged, strong community of women from all over the world that share similar interests, that are all on the same journey, and that truly gave me a sense of purpose and allowed me to be seen and allowed me to relate to others like I never have before. I got really good at building deeper connections with my audience online, taking in their requests, making sure I was providing as much value with every video, reading DMs, responding to comments, and making sure that I understood what my audience's pain points were and how I could then solve them and offer up the right amount of information and value to make somebody else's day better, to be able to put more good out into the world, to make sure that women never struggled with the problems that I once did. And that honestly helped me build my own self-love and confidence so much, because I was finally doing something for myself. My days no longer revolved around validation and attention. It was honestly about putting something important into the world, about taking past pain and past problems and transforming it into something beautiful that would help another person and inspire them to make progress in their own lives. Also, when it comes to dating, love, and relationships, I think it's so important to normalize celebrating women's hard-earned achievements and career accomplishments in the same way that we celebrate personal life updates, like I got into a new relationship or I went on a first date. I think we can all do a much better job at creating a more dynamic picture of what a woman's success and happiness looks like, because it's definitely not a one-size-fits-all approach. YouTube has given me so much fulfillment over the years, which has allowed me to create a lot of balance within my life when it comes to friendships, relationships, just to make sure that as much as I'm pouring into everyone else, I'm also pouring into myself and my future at the same time. Not to mention, the YouTube Partner Program did amazing things for my financial independence and stability, especially starting as a university student, create a career for myself, be able to move out into my first apartment at such a young age. It's given me so many opportunities to work with my dream brand brands, to practice my public speaking while I'm at events, and it's literally just given me a whole new lifestyle that even goes beyond sitting down to record and edit a YouTube video, which was my initial attraction to the job, and now it's just gotten so much bigger and so much greater, and honestly just changed my life. So honestly, don't fall into the trap that I did, which is putting other people before your dreams and your interests. Take some time to figure out how you can create your own happiness before you depend on another person to give it to you. Dating mistake number 7 was sticking to one person. Now hold on, I used to be that person that was so shocked by people being in multiple talking stages and dating 2 people at the same time. I was like, what? I don't think that could ever be me. To me, I was like, that's such a waste of time. I don't get it. What is this generation coming to? Blah, blah, blah. That is how I thought until I accidentally got myself into a situation where I was dating 2 people at once. And honestly, it wasn't even intentional. I just met 2 people that I really liked within the same week. And I'm not saying that you should do this every single time you date. I'm just saying don't write off the idea of it, because it taught me a lot. Even after going on a couple of dates with someone, you cannot invest all of your energy and all of your emotions into just one person and close yourself off to them. I actually think that one time I was in 2 talking stages at the same time helped me stay so level-headed and helped me practice like detaching my emotions. For me, it really helped me move away from the mindset I was stuck in for so many years, which was, oh my God, I think I really like this person. What if they like me? Oh my God, are we gonna be together? Are we gonna get married one day? 2, this person's really nice and I like ABC about them. That person's also really nice and I like ABC about them. I just wonder who my connection is going to grow to stronger and how I'm going to figure out who matches me better and aligns to my life. Dating mistake number 8 was comparing with my past dating experiences. I was in a phase where I was trying to replicate what I had in my previous relationship because that made me so happy. And that was one relationship that was like the best one I'd ever been in, and I wish it would have lasted longer. But it was such a mistake because it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. I was so naive and so clueless. This great big love that I was trying to replicate with the new people I was dating was literally me trying to replicate an old relationship I was in with a narcissist, but I just didn't know he was a narcissist at that point. I was literally being manipulated throughout an entire relationship, being love bombed, and I didn't even know it. And I was trying to find people that matched his vibe. What? Honestly, that was a very humbling experience because it really taught me that you don't have all of the facts, okay? Dating is such an experience and a lesson game. The first person you date, you might think will be the best ever, and then you'll meet your husband like 10 people later, and you'll be like, I can't believe I ever settled for person number 1, and I thought that that's what happiness and healthy love looks like. Also, everyone is a different experience and you don't stay the same person forever. So what might have fulfilled you and made you happy in one relationship last year might not be the same thing that's going to fulfill you, match you, and align with your life today. What served you yesterday will not serve you today. It's important to grow and evolve and improve your dating standard list as you grow as a person. It's not going to stay the exact same way. The 9th dating mistake I made was thinking the more time, the better. I had been in a couple of relationships where we would see each other multiple times a week or like hang out like every other day spontaneously just because we could or we lived close or whatever. Sometimes we spent nearly every single day together purely out of like that attachment and that initial excitement and honeymoon phase. But when you get yourself into this cycle, into this habit of I just want to see you because I miss you and I want to see you all of the time, and you're just hanging out while lacking actual plans, it starts to normalize low effort within your relationship life with that person. More time doesn't equal quality time. You especially don't want to make the mistake that I did, which is accepting this treatment and therefore communicating to your partner, to your man, that all you have to do is sit with me and pay some attention to me, and that's good enough for me, and I'll just settle with that. Because that's hella easy, and then they are going to run with that for who knows, months to come, years to come, and eventually the romance will fade. Because that's exactly what happened to me. I found out that we were just hanging out, talking all day, and then it got to the point where I was like, when was the last time we went on an actual date? When was the last time you planned something for me? And it started to feel like we were actually just friends. Instead, I learned the best lesson, which got me to where I am today, which is I would rather focus on my own life, my own purpose, my own fulfillment, my independence, and then see you twice a week instead, and have that be our quality romantic time that is thought out, that we've planned for each other. Dating mistake number 10 was a very big one. And this was, I had no idea that some of the loves that I was experiencing that I thought was so great and so good and so healthy were in actuality the bare minimum. And I had no idea of that because that type of love and that type of relationship was all I had seen and been surrounded with my entire life. I had no idea there were men out here that would love you so much, pour so much effort and time into every single date they plan for you, and literally act like they worship the ground that you walk on every single day because they are that obsessed with you. And they literally are. And I deprived myself of that kind of love for so many different relationships. So if I could go back in time, I would either, one, pay less attention to the type of love and relationships everyone else around me was experiencing, because honestly, all that did was skew my high standards downwards and normalize what bare minimum was and just accept what the norm was for so many people. Or two, I would simply research more into what healthy relationships look like so that I could instead influence what my average love that I was seeing and surrounding myself with was, so that instead it aligned more to much higher standards so that I could get my dream guy, because I saw all of these other people with their dream, amazing soulmate love, and then it kind of signaled to my brain that is normal, that is achievable. And you know what? Since you watched all the way to the end of the video, let me throw in an extra dating mistake that I made. Here is a bonus number 11, which I think is probably the most important and also the most overlooked. The 11th dating mistake I made was assessing everything in a person but self-esteem. Kindness? Check. Good looking? Check. Plans and pace for every date? Check. Romantic? Check. Understands me? Check. Is emotionally intelligent? Check. Oh my god, I've hit the jackpot. Yeah, not exactly. Because let me tell you a little story about that guy over there that's checking out all these boxes. He also has some very deep-rooted insecurities that he refuses to deal with and is eventually going to project them onto you after a few months of dating, once you're heavily in love with him, and then the real side of him comes out because he has never learned about self-improvement, about healing his traumas, and about becoming a more confident, secure version of himself so that he can show up for you better. He knows exactly how to play amazing, handsome, gorgeous, romantic plans every date guy. He knows how to do that. But he's also got this hidden jealousy within him where once you start flourishing in your career, it's gonna really hurt his ego. Or when you make changes in your life, or you change or you evolve, he's gonna want you to stay the exact same person you were when you met him, and he's not gonna be able to deal with any of that. I'm not saying having insecurities is wrong. I'm saying if you right there sat watching this video are a woman who is intelligent enough to identify and remain aware of her own insecurities and then find ways to start working on them, improving them, just being consciously aware of how it might show up in your life, then you at least deserve someone who is capable of doing the same for their own insecurities so that you guys can actually build a healthy relationship together. People can be so many great things, but at the same time, they can mistreat you or sabotage you because they haven't dealt with themselves yet. And that brings us to the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please comment down below. Let me know which number dating mistake you enjoyed the most. If you haven't already, be sure to watch part 1 because hundreds of thousands of people love that video. It was all of the dating lessons that I've learned. That's a little bit more positive. It's kind of giving you advice on what to do in your dating life rather than this one, which was more about what to avoid at all costs. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know if you want to see more dating content because I would love to create that for you guys. And remember to check out all of the links below in my description. I appreciate you so much, and I will see you same time next week for a brand new video. Bye.